So, you've brought some really interesting stuff for us to look at.
Oh, yeah. This is great.
It's all about Buddhist philosophy, and I feel like it all kind of boils down to this one question. What if everything you really need is already, like, inside you?
That's a good question. And it really gets to the heart of Buddhist teachings.
Yeah.
You know, all this material about inner abundance that you brought.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how it contrasts with how we're always, wanting more and more these days.
Right, it's like we're always looking for the next thing, and it makes you wonder, like, maybe we're looking in the completely wrong place.
Yeah, totally.
Like, what if it's not out there at all?
Exactly.
One of the things I thought was really interesting was this idea of a filled cup. It's like we keep trying to add more stuff to our lives, more possessions, more achievements, whatever it is.
Way more money.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like we're just pouring into a cup that's already full, so it's just overflowing and making a mess.
Makes a lot of sense.
And then we're like, why am I not happy?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where these core Buddhist ideas can help us understand what's going on.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that.
So we're going to really look at this idea of inner sufficiency.
Yep.
We're going to examine where it comes from in Buddhist thought. And I think most importantly, we're going to think about what it means for you.
Right, like how can we actually use this?
Exactly. How can we use this to feel more content?
Yeah, and not feel like we always need something else.
Exactly. And to do that, we're going to be looking at some key Buddhist concepts like shunyata and santosha.
Okay, so let's start with this filled cup thing, because it's like we're constantly, trying to add more and more to our lives, but the source material suggests that our cup is already full. So it's like, no wonder we never feel satisfied,
Yeah, I think this is a really important point. It connects with the Buddhist idea of shunyata.
Okay, what is that?
Well, shunyata is often translated as emptiness.
Emptiness.
But it's not about a lack of something. It's more about infinite possibility or potential.
Okay, I think I see what you mean.
Think of a blank canvas.
Okay.
It's not empty.
Yeah.
It's full of potential for, a masterpiece.
I like that, yeah.
And in the same way, you have the potential for complete abundance within you.
Uh-huh.
But our minds are often so busy that we don't see it.
It's like we're so focused on what we think we're missing that we miss what's right there in front of us.
Exactly. And that's why that story about the wealthy merchant and the wandering monk is so powerful.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that one.
So you have this rich merchant who has everything you could possibly want,
Okay.
but he's never satisfied. He's always wanting more. And he meets this wandering monk who owns nothing. And the monk asks him a simple question. What can you take with you when you die?
Wow.
And the merchant is stumped,
Yeah. Wow.
And the monk just says, peace of mind. That's what's truly valuable.
That's so true.
It is, and I think it really highlights how we create this illusion of scarcity for ourselves.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in chasing material things that we forget about what really matters.
Inner peace.
Exactly. And the source material even connects this to modern psychology.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's all this research that shows that people who focus too much on material success are actually more likely to be anxious and unhappy.
Oh, that makes sense.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like the more we chase after stuff, the worse we feel.
Right. And the source material contrasts this with the benefits of gratitude and mindfulness.
So it's like instead of focusing on what we don't have, we should be grateful for what we do have.
Exactly, because when we're always looking for the next thing, we miss the beauty and the richness of what's happening right now.
It's like that analogy of sunlight transforming a room.
Tell me more about that.
It's like when it's dark, we only see the problems,
Yeah.
But then when the light comes in, everything changes. It's the same room, but it feels completely different.
Right. It's all about perspective.
Yeah, it's like our perspective shapes our reality.
Absolutely. And if we're always looking at the world through this lens of scarcity, that's what we're going to see.
But if we can shift our perspective...
then we can start to see the abundance that's already there.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, the source material actually gives us some practical steps.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first step is to become more aware of our thoughts.
Like, what are we thinking about all day long?
Exactly. Pay attention to those "I'll be happy when" thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
Or the "if only I had"
If
thought.
only I had $1 million, then I would be happy.
Right. Those are the signs of a scarcity mindset.
Okay, so notice those thoughts.
And then the next step is to start replacing those thoughts with expressions of gratitude.
So instead of, I wish I had a bigger house.
You could say, I'm grateful for the roof over my head.
I like that.
And it might seem simple,
Yeah.
but when you start focusing on what you have instead of what you don't have, It can really shift your perspective.
Okay, and then the source material also talks about mindful observation.
Yes, mindfulness is so important.
What is that exactly?
It's about taking a moment each day to really appreciate the good things in your life, even the small things.
Yeah.
So, maybe take a few minutes each evening and think about 3 things you're grateful for.
Okay, like what?
It could be anything. A kind word from a stranger, a beautiful sunset, a delicious meal.
Okay.
The point is to train your mind to focus on the positive.
So it's like going back to that cup analogy, we need to stop trying to pour more in.
Yes.
And instead we need to just pause and look at what's already in our cup.
Exactly. And you know what?
What?
The source material even suggests that our cup might not just be full, it might actually be overflowing.
Wow.
But we've been so busy trying to fill it that we haven't even noticed.
I love that image.
It's a beautiful image, and it's a really important realization.
That abundance isn't something we need to chase.
Right.
It's something we already have.
We just need to wake up to it.
Which leads us perfectly into the next part of our deep dive.
Yes.
This idea of contentment.
Or, as the source material calls it, unlocking the hidden abundance within.
I like that.
So we've talked about the paradox of the filled cup. Now we're going to explore this core Buddhist principle of santosha.
Okay, santosha.
Which essentially means contentment.
Contentment.
And it's important to understand that this is different from happiness.
How so?
Happiness is often fleeting,
Okay.
It depends on external circumstances.
Like if something good happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But contentment is a deeper, more lasting piece that comes from appreciating what you already have.
So it's not about what's happening around you.
Right. It's about your internal state of being.
Okay, but how do we cultivate contentment in a world that's constantly telling us we need more?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like we're bombarded with messages that say we need more stuff to be happy.
Exactly. And the source material tackles this by challenging the idea that success equals accumulation.
Okay.
It encourages us to think about what truly brings us joy. And often it's not material things at all.
Like what?
It can be spending time with loved ones, connecting with nature.
Okay.
Or even just savoring a delicious meal.
It's the simple things.
Exactly. And the Buddha himself said, contentment is the greatest wealth.
That's a great quote.
It is. And it really invites us to redefine what we mean by richness.
It's not about how much money you have.
It's about your inner state of being.
And there's that story you mentioned earlier about Ajahn Chah and the glass of water.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Can you tell that one again?
So Ajahn Chah was a famous Thai Buddhist teacher.
Okay.
And one day he was talking to his students about contentment.
Uh-huh.
And he said, if you're thirsty and you have a glass of water, drink it. Don't complicate things by wishing for tea or coffee.
Okay.
And I think it's such a simple but powerful analogy.
Yeah.
It's about accepting and appreciating what's right in front of us.
Instead of always wanting something else.
Exactly. And aligning our desires with our present reality.
And the source material also suggests a contentment audit.
Yes.
What is that?
It's a really simple exercise where you take some time to write down all the things you're grateful for.
Okay.
Your comforts, your joys, your securities. And as you write them down, really feel the gratitude.
Okay.
It's a powerful way to shift your focus and remind yourself of all the good things you already have.
And speaking of shifting our focus, the source material also talks about the role of rituals.
Yes.
In cultivating the sense of abundance.
Exactly. Rituals can be a really powerful way to anchor ourselves in the present moment.
Okay.
And to help us see the sacred in the ordinary.
Like what kind of rituals?
Well, it could be a formal Buddhist practice like meditation.
Okay.
Or something as simple as mindful eating.
Mindful eating.
Yeah, instead of just wolfing down your food, really pay attention to the taste, the texture, the smell.
Okay.
Notice where your food came from, all the people who helped bring it to your plate.
Wow.
It's about transforming a simple meal into an experience of gratitude.
I like that.
And the source material also suggests incorporating these mindful pauses into our daily lives.
So it's not just about formal rituals.
Right. It could be something as simple as taking a moment to appreciate a cup of coffee, or taking a few deep breaths before you start your workday.
It's about bringing awareness to the present moment.
Exactly. And these little moments of mindfulness can really add up over time.
And the source material also recommends journaling about abundance.
Oh, yes. That's a great practice.
So just write down things you're grateful for.
Exactly. Maybe try writing down 3 things each evening before you go to bed.
Okay.
It's a great way to train your mind to focus on the positive.
And what's so fascinating is that modern science is actually starting to catch up with this ancient wisdom.
Totally.
Like all this research about the benefits of gratitude.
Yeah, the source material mentions Dr. Emmons' work.
Who is he?
He's a researcher who's done a lot of work on gratitude.
Okay.
And his research has shown that people who practice gratitude regularly are happier, healthier, and more resilient.
Wow.
It's amazing, and it really shows how powerful our thoughts are.
Yeah, it's like we can literally rewire our brains for happiness.
Exactly, and there's that example of Sarah, the burned out executive.
So tell me about her.
So Sarah was working way too much. She was stressed out and she was really unhappy.
Okay.
And then she started incorporating mindfulness and gratitude practices into her life. And she found that it made a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah, her stress levels went down, she was sleeping better, and she was actually more productive at work.
So it's not just about feeling good.
Right. It could actually improve your whole life.
That's amazing.
It is. And it shows how practical this ancient wisdom really is.
So it's not just some airy-fairy philosophy.
It's something we can actually use to improve our lives.
Okay, so what are some other practical things we can do?
Well, the source material outlines 3 key practices.
Okay, let's hear them.
The first is practicing detachment from outcomes.
Detachment from outcomes.
Yeah, so it's about putting in effort towards your goals,
Okay.
but without being attached to specific results.
So it's like doing your best and then letting go of the outcome.
Exactly, because sometimes we get so fixated on a particular outcome
Yeah.
that we miss out on the journey.
Okay, I can see that.
And the second practice is engaging in acts of generosity.
So giving to others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it might seem counterintuitive.
Oh, so...
Well, you would think that if you're focused on having enough for yourself, you wouldn't want to give things away.
Right.
But actually the opposite is true.
Really?
Yeah, when we give to others, it shifts our focus away from our own perceived needs.
Okay.
And it helps us to connect with something larger than ourselves.
So it's not just about giving material things.
No, it could be giving your time, your energy, your attention.
Okay.
And the third practice is creating sacred spaces in our homes.
What do you mean by sacred spaces?
It could be a meditation corner, a reading nook,
Okay.
any place where you can go to disconnect from the outside world and reconnect with yourself.
So it's like having a little sanctuary in your home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if it's just a small space, it can make a big difference.
Okay, so we've explored the paradox of the filled cup. We've talked about cultivating contentment, and now we're at this really interesting idea that abundance is awakened, not attained.
And that's really the ultimate realization, isn't it?
Yeah, that it's not something we need to go out and get.
Right. It's already within us.
We just need to uncover it.
Exactly. And the source material talks about this illusion of scarcity that we often carry with us.
This idea that there's not enough to go around.
Right. We're taught from a young age that resources are limited, opportunities are rare, and we have to fight for what we want.
And that creates a lot of fear and anxiety.
It does. And it can lead us to make decisions that aren't in our best interest.
So how do we challenge this illusion of scarcity?
Well, the source material reminds us of shunyata.
That concept of emptiness we talked about
Right.
earlier.
But remember, it's not about a lack of something.
Okay.
It's about infinite potential.
Okay.
And the source material uses this great analogy of the ocean.
Okay.
On the surface, the ocean might seem empty, but beneath the surface, there's a whole world teeming with life.
And it's the same with us.
Exactly. We have so much potential within us, but we often don't see it.
Because we're too focused on what we think we're lacking.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to cultivate right view,
Right view.
which is one of the steps on the Buddhist Eightfold Path.
Okay.
And it basically means seeing reality clearly
Okay.
without the distortions of our ego and our conditioning.
So it's about questioning the stories we tell ourselves.
Exactly. Those stories about what we need to be happy and successful.
Like, I need a bigger house to be happy.
Exactly. Or I need to be more successful to be worthy.
Okay.
And the source material uses this beautiful image of a river flowing effortlessly to the sea.
Okay, I like that.
It's about letting go of the need to control everything.
And trusting that the universe will provide.
Exactly.
And it's amazing to think about how our own sense of contentment can actually impact the world around us.
It's true.
You know, like if we're more content, we're more likely to be kind and compassionate towards others.
Absolutely. And that creates a ripple effect.
It's like that metaphor of the lotus flower.
Oh, yes. The lotus grows in muddy water, but it rises above the mud and blooms into this beautiful flower.
And we can be like that too.
Exactly. We can rise above the chaos and negativity of the world.
By cultivating inner peace.
Exactly. And this source material gives the example of Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh, yeah, he's a great example of someone who embodied this.
He was incredibly peaceful and compassionate, even in the face of great adversity.
And he inspired millions of people.
He did, and he showed us that real power comes from within.
Not from external force or authority?
Exactly, and the source material encourages us to find our own ways to be a source of positivity in the world.
Like what?
It could be something as simple as smiling at a stranger.
Okay.
Or offering a helping hand.
Or just listening to someone who needs to be heard.
Exactly. These small acts of kindness can make a big difference.
Okay, so we're almost at the end of our deep dive, and I'm wondering, what are some concrete things we can do
to cultivate this sense of abundance?
Yeah, like how do we actually put this into practice?
Well, the source material offers some great suggestions.
Okay, let's hear them.
One practice is gratitude mapping.
Gratitude mapping.
Yeah, so you divide your life into 4 quadrants.
Okay.
Physical well-being, emotional health, meaningful relationships, and spiritual connection.
Okay.
And then you write down all the things you're grateful for in each quadrant.
So it's like a really thorough gratitude practice.
Exactly. And it helps you to see the abundance that's already present in your life.
I like that.
And another important practice is the art of letting go.
Letting go of what?
Anything that's no longer serving you.
Okay.
It could be material possessions, unhealthy relationships, or even limiting beliefs.
Okay.
And the source material emphasizes that attachment is a major source of suffering.
So by letting go, we're actually freeing ourselves.
Exactly. We're creating space for new possibilities, and we're strengthening our trust in the universe.
Okay. And the source material even suggests doing some kind of symbolic active release.
Yes, that could be really helpful.
Like what?
It could be something as simple as writing down what you want to let go of and then burning the paper. Or releasing a balloon into the sky.
Interesting.
The point is to make the act of letting go more tangible.
Okay, and the final practice you mentioned was visualization of wholeness.
Yes.
What is that?
It's about taking some time each day to visualize yourself in a state of complete well-being.
Okay.
Surrounded by love, joy, and abundance.
And you actually feel these emotions as you're visualizing.
Exactly. And the source material suggests combining this visualization with positive affirmations.
Like what?
It could be something like, I am complete, or abundance flows freely in my life.
Okay.
And the idea is that by repeatedly visualizing and affirming these things, you're actually reprogramming your subconscious mind.
Wow.
It's a really powerful practice.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today,
Yes.
There's this one question that keeps coming back to me from the source material.
What's that?
How would our lives change if we truly believed we already had everything we need?
That's a really powerful question.
It is, and it makes me wonder how much time and energy we waste chasing things.
When we could just be enjoying what we already have.
Exactly, and the source material reminds us that this abundance has always been within us.
Like the sun behind the clouds.
I like that.
It's always there, even when we can't see it.
And our job is just to clear away the clouds.
To remove the obstacles that are preventing us from experiencing it.
So it's not about creating abundance.
It's about uncovering it.
And that final image of the filled cup.
Yes.
It's such a powerful reminder that we already have everything we need.
We just need to see it.
And I think that's a really hopeful and empowering message.
It is.
You are enough, you have enough, and the universe is supporting you.
It's all true.
So thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the wisdom of Buddhist philosophy.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
And as you go about your day-to-day, maybe take a moment to consider this.
Like that.
Maybe all this striving and chasing we do
Yeah.
is just a distraction from the infinite wellspring of potential and satisfaction that's already within us.
It's good thought.
And we encourage you to explore these ideas further in your own way.
And see what resonates with you.
Until next time.
Take care.